All right. Diddy is giving the publishing rights back to bad boy artists. According to Forbes, he turned down a 9-figure deal for Bad Boy's catalog and instead decided to give the publishing rights back to Biggie's estate, The Lox, Mace, and Faith Evans, as well as Bad Boy songwriters. Apparently, Diddy began reaching out back in May 2021 to these artists about giving them their publishing back, and a rep for him said this: "The rationale for this boils down to wanting to revolutionize the industry with this, to empower artists and to switch up the dynamic, which has been a certain way for a long time. As part of his legacy, Diddy's hoping to enrich others in his community." When you guys saw that Diddy was giving back the publishing rights to his artists, what did you guys think?
Good for him. About time. I think it's good that they're getting their publishing back. I see some discourse that some people are saying it's not enough, too little, too late. Diddy's made a lot of money off of it, sure, but like Mark Curry, for example, who I don't know if y'all know, former Bad Boy artist. He was on Bad Boys for Life. He wasn't one of the more popular Bad Boy artists, but he made a video and he said, "Yo, the publishing's only worth $300 or $400 anyway. Like, you could keep
a year.
Give me the money.
A year,
$300, $400 a year."
Yeah.
Mark Curry has had beef with Diddy for years. He wrote a book called Dancing with the Devil, which was about his time at Bad Boy. And Mark doesn't have the same output as a Mace. Mark doesn't have a Harlem World. I would argue that Mace, that Harlem World is going to come up on the 30th anniversary soon. So having that publishing could be very lucrative and beneficial for Mace. Faith having her publishing back, she can find a way to parlay that, especially when you see that these anniversaries are coming up. And also samples now. Like, we're in this era where people are going back about 20 years, 25 years to sample records. We just saw
Superstar Pride did Faith Evans.
Superstar Pride did Faith Evans Soon As I Get Home. Metro Boomin and The Weeknd and 21 Savage did Mario Winans' I Don't Want to Know. So it is an amazing time to have your publishing right now. So hopefully these artists can get it and make some money off of it.
Yeah.
Gabe, how important is it for artists to own their publishing?
I know it's crazy. I was actually just having this phone call in the back before we had here, because we were talking about publishing for On the Radar Records, and I think what people don't always know, and Rob can jump in on this too, is like publishing is also like, they're collecting on like when we put out music, right? Our money, the money that we get, right? We see it, right? But then there's also a lot of money out there that we don't see. And that's where, sometimes bigger corporations come in. They can help find all this money that, oh, I didn't know my song made money over here. Like, they collect that money for you. And then you owning the rights to that publishing is huge, because then that money's coming to you, and that's feeding your family. So for artists to own the rights to their publishing and be able to collect on bread, like, let's say, we talking about Faith Evans. Like, let's say Faith Evans' song gets used in a movie trailer for a Marvel movie next year. I don't know how much that check could be, but let's say the check is $75,000. Now all that bread could go right to her, So I think that's very important for us to talk about too. Is that now these artists, if they do have the opportunity to get their music played like 30 years with Mace, like if these things are able to become more than just it's a 30-year anniversary. Okay, maybe there's a documentary that goes along with it. There's a lot of things that their music can be used for now that they can get big checks off of, and it wouldn't just go, I guess, directly to Diddy like it would before, right?
Yeah.
And to piggyback off of what both of you guys said, I finally got to watch the Ninja Turtle movie because it came out on Amazon Prime, and I love the fact that they included De La Soul like a part of the score.
Yeah.
Like, it was when
I'm watching that tonight.
Yeah. It was when the dad was taking care of the turtles.
That's
and
fire.
They went from like boys to men, but it was just like very impressive, their use of hip hop music in that movie.
Yeah, because the kids.
But now De La can eat off that, because I know they were on DSPs for a very long time.
But there's a difference too between DSPs. There's a difference between mechanical royalties and publishing royalties. Publishing royalties are really meant for the songwriters. Sometimes you might have a singer A, I'm not going to name anybody's name, but singer A who sings beautifully but doesn't write their music. So singer A will get, when you stream, they'll get the mechanical royalties. When you sell records, they'll earn the mechanical royalties because that's their album. But the publishing, the writer, what does the writer earn? The writer has the publishing. Mm-hmm. So you kind of got to think of a record as a master, like the actual record, and then the publishing, the written word. The written music is also, nobody really writes music anymore on musical sheets, but music, even if you make it on machine, is comprised of notes that can be written out. So the publishing is for the writers. Quite often what happens, and it's a common practice, I feel like it shouldn't happen, but it happens, you can't put the genie back in the bottle, is that artists sell their publishing. Like, you know, Biggie, for example, Puff wasn't writing Biggie's lyrics, but Biggie sold his publishing to Puff very early on in his career. That was a separate deal outside of the record deal.
Yeah.
So the publishing that Puff bought from all these different artists, or the advances that he gave them for this publishing, he's now reverting back to them, which is, you know, I think it should be with the songwriters, because songwriters now, especially in the streaming era, have fewer and fewer ways to earn money, because the publishing splits, even with a streaming record, is so low for songwriters.
And to break it down even simpler than that, masters, publishing, two separate things. You can sell both